how many times you say, if only? I just, this something happens in my life, and if only it would have been so much different. If only, if only, if only. Well, let me just tell you something about little if only. If only doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist. I want to tell you two stories, and they both just come to show us that when we think the if only, we're like totally missing the fact that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is running our lives, watching over us, knowing exactly where we need to be and what we need to be doing. Here it goes. First story happened this week to me. My father was supposed to be coming from America, San Francisco airport to Tel Aviv. He actually was supposed to be coming on May 2nd, okay, which is like almost a month ago. He had the ticket. I had explained to him. I sent him I'm Israeli, so I sent him my birth certificate, my marriage certificate, and I sent him my identification card. He had other paperwork. Also, my aunt who lives here, his sister, sent him information. And he has got all the paperwork, he says, everything. He says all he has to do is 72 hours before the flight, take a COVID test, which he was not worried about because my father's had 2 vaccinations and he was feeling totally fine. So he's set and ready to go. May 2nd, supposed to be arriving in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, he does the COVID test, 72 hours, and it's positive. It was a false positive, mind you, because he did another one after that, and it was false. It was negative, but they didn't care. They told him you have to be in quarantine 14 days. Okay, quarantine 14 days, and he's going to have to take 2 more COVID tests, make sure they're both negative, and then he's going to be able to travel and to arrive. He waits 14 days. He gets another ticket. They put another ticket, and guess what? Then comes the missiles and the rockets, and that flight gets canceled. Then it was supposed to be another 2 days later, and still they canceled the flight, rockets, missiles. I said, wow, Mina Shemaim, I'm sure that if for some reason, God forbid, and like who knows what, and it's all Mina Shemaim, and I was just worried, and I was so happy that I said, you know what, it's good, it's all good. Hashem knows what he's doing. I'm sure there's something really great in store for us. So he's now scheduled for, this is already the 4th flight. And everything was ready. He's supposed to come Sunday, leave San Francisco Sunday, arrive here Monday night. He has all those paperwork. I said, Dad, you have all the permits, the paperwork, everything? He says, yeah, no problem. I've emailed with the San Francisco consulate. He says, and he was like telling me. And what I didn't know, though, is before they were sending him things in Hebrew that he didn't understand. I don't know why exactly they send somebody from America who's English-speaking and American things in Hebrew, explaining procedures, but that's another story. According to him, he's got everything set to go. He gets on the plane. They let him on the plane. He flies all the way from San Francisco to Tel Aviv. He arrives here, and they denied his permit. Now, at the moment, I didn't know exactly what was happening because I was involved in something. I was involved. Also, you say to yourself, okay, I'm involved in a chesed HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I was involved in an organization that helps women who, lo aleinu, have stillbirths and late miscarriages, and I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't answer my phone. I look at the phone at 10:30, and I see my father sends me a message saying, they denied me. They're putting me on the next flight back home. I was in shock. My aunt, in the meantime, had known about it. She's for 2 hours trying to call everyone she knows. I start trying to, I don't even know, I'm WhatsApping whoever I can in my beautiful neighborhood of Harnaf. Every single person who can be helping me is helping me. I'm sure everyone was dying for me. One friend's telling me, light a candle, and it's the zechut of this tzaddik, that Bezat Hashem, you'll do nichnas arachim, your father, yeah, okay, fine, I got the candle. And that moment of lighting the candle, I'm like saying it to feel, okay, it's all your ratzon, and I'm like thinking, of course it's going to happen, right? Like doing all this hishtalas, finally figuring out this person, waking up this person at 11:30 at night, everyone's being so kind and compassionate, all this chesed. I'm like, of course they're going to let this 78-year-old man into Israel, who's COVID-free, has 2 vaccinations, has had all these tests, who has permission, who has a daughter and grandchildren, that his only daughter, mind you, living in Israel. He's got his sister here. Like, of course they're going to let this 78-year-old old man into the country. And guess what? They did not. They didn't even let him go get food. He was starving and he hadn't eaten and he's diabetic and they won't let him get food. They wouldn't even sleep there. I said, no, maybe you can sleep there and we'll figure it out in the morning. Try calling San Francisco consulate. Nothing is helping. It was Ratzon Hashem. He went back on the flight. They put him first, mind you. They didn't really put him last so he could have another 10 minutes. First, he's on board, confiscated his passport, will not give it to him until he gets back to America. And you know what? the thing that I kept thinking about it, it's such calmness, is my goodness, this is Al Pi Hashem. This is for sure something when things are so not logical. It means that the logic is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there are things beyond me which I cannot see. And I want this incredible story to tell you that like at that moment, the phone answered and they said, you can be, and no, he was rejected and he went back. So it was such a contrast with another story that happened to me this week where I was attending a birth. I'm a doula. I went with this woman and we went early because we wanted we wanted a certain experience, a certain calmness. We went early and it happened to be that at Pi Hashem, the hospital was so busy that morning. And we couldn't get a room. At Pi Hashem, we were stuck in the waiting room and it was hours and hours and it was so difficult for this woman to relax and to be able to just go into her space of being able to birth. And it was okay. This is a situation where we're going to make the best of it. And things were going slow and slow and slow and hours and hours and hours. And it was just not moving. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the day, she just started feeling, okay, I'm going to have my baby. And then, of course, things got very, very, very fast. Then all of a sudden it became an emergency because the position of the baby was such that it would be an emergency. They're whisking us into the delivery room. At that moment, Al Pi Hashem, we go into the delivery room. And, of course, Al Pi Hashem, at that moment, the head top doctor of the OBGYN in Shari Tzedek happens to be doing his rounds. Al Pi Hashem, he happens to be at the spot, at the time, at the hour, and in the room where my client was going to have a baby. And with his confidence, with his experience, with his expertise, he was able to very quickly deliver this natural, Baruch Hashem, healthy baby to a healthy, natural way to a mommy. And it was so Al Pi Hashem. And when I walked out of that birth, I was like, my God, that was such a miracle. Hashem, we so saw Hashgacha Pratis. We so saw divine providence watching over the whole experience, knowing exactly the moment we had to be in the waiting room, we were there. And if we had gotten in earlier, it would not have had that same ending. And exactly when we were in that delivery room, we had to be there exactly when that doctor was there. But it's the same Al Pi Hashem that happens in our lives. We're expecting this like amazing thunderbolt of lightning. It's going to be a miracle. And Hashem says no. For whatever reason beyond which I could possibly comprehend, you're not traveling. Or you're traveling and you're not getting there. Or you are staying put. In this week's Parsha, it says that when we were in the Bamidbar, we were in the desert, Am Yisrael traveled Al Pi Hashem, and we encamped Al Pi Hashem, and it was a miracle, and it was an amazing, and it was the time that we were the closest to Kodesh Baruch Hu was when we were in that Bamidbar in the desert, eating the man from Shammai, knowing we had such this clarity that I can only go, Hashem, when you want me to go, and I can only stay when you want me to stay. So whenever we had these moments of like, wow, I so wish I could have done something else, I start to think to myself, maybe I did something wrong, maybe I should have helped my father, did something else, who could I have called if I had looked at my phone earlier, why did my, maybe my father should have done something different. It doesn't matter. It was Al Pi Hashem. You can do everything. The only logic that there is in life, the only emes, the only truth, is Al Pi Hashem, is an acceptance, and is embracing a situation of saying, wow, Baruch Hashem, that was Mina Shemaim Hashgacha Pratis. B'ezrat Hashem, we should always be traveling and encamping, knowing that wherever we are is where Hashem wants us to be, and wherever we need to go is wherever Hashem wants us to go. B'ezrat Hashem. Shabbat Shalom.